Welcome back. Today it's all about the Beanie Babies. This is Ears. He doesn't still have his ear tag, which means he's a worthless piece of crap. No, I still love him. I still love you. I don't care whether or not you are pristine or have tags. I think you're cute no matter what. I honestly don't remember where I got him. I never bought myself Beanie Babies, but people used to give them to me. Hi. Hi. And there's Crowley. People used to give them to me. I think this one came, it's from 1995 or 96, right? So someone in college gave this to me, maybe. If you were the person who gave me this rabbit and I've forgotten, I'm really, really sorry. But thank you, because I do still have him and I do still love him. Anyway, I'm not here just to talk about my rabbit. We're here to talk about the Great Beanie Baby Bubble, which is the book by Zac Bissonnette. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Which I kind of teased a little bit last video. But basically, it's a book that looks at excuse me. It's a book that looks at the Beanie Baby fad. Basically, the book, though, it takes a few different angles. It's a kind of a biography of Ty Warner, the eccentric billionaire who created Ty, which is the company that created Beanie Babies. He's a notoriously private person, so the information had to be sussed out from various sources, people who'd worked with him, people who knew him. And I feel like the book kind of wanted to be a biography, but maybe didn't feel like it had enough to make a full biography. So there was also this angle of the Beanie Baby fad itself, like the economics of it. So there's kind of an economics lesson in the book for people who find that kind of thing interesting. And then finally there's, the author speaks to people who were collectors, either early adopters or who caught on at the end thinking they would make money. And basically he goes through it fairly chronologically, saying, look, it started out that Ty Warner made these little stuffed creatures that he wanted them to be posable. He wanted them to be small enough that kids could carry in their backpacks to school, kind of, a little lovey. And then, so they were really still considered for kids. But then adults caught on, more or less because Ty Warner was a perfectionist. And so he would, on the fly, take a design and change it a little bit. So there would be a few in one color, but then it would have a different color later. Or it would have one face, but then he'd tweak the face so there'd be a different kind of face, And almost by accident, he created some rarities, ones that were less, common than others. And people noticed, or, it started collecting or trying to find the ones that were less common or had been early. Like, people started making lists, checklists, the kinds of things that collectors do to see if they have them all. Kind of a Pokemon thing, gotta catch them all. Although Pokemon basically displaced Beanie Babies later. So the book is interesting if you're curious about eccentric billionaires, if you have an interest in fads or in Beanie Babies in particular, if you have an interest in how, the supply-demand market economy works. The thing is, I feel like it's a very niche book, and it's a niche book in those kind of three ways. And so a person who just wants to know about the economic part is going to be like, well, there's a lot of stuff here that's just not interesting to me. And the people who only want to know about Ty Warner are going to say, well, I don't care about the whole Beanie Baby fad part. I just want to know about the guy. it's a combination of stuff, but it's not necessarily a combination of stuff that interests every reader. I found the whole thing relatively interesting, but I have broad interests in general. I tend to read a wide variety of stuff. But like I could see where, and I noticed later in reviews that I read after the fact, that a lot of people were like, well, this was, 1/3 okay and 2/3 really boring or whatever. And I can see where for certain readers that would be the case. Overall, it's an interesting book though. I was having trouble trying to find something I could focus on and keep attention on these days. It's been really hard. So the fact that it held my attention enough to read it through, because I've picked up and put down half a dozen books. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars on Goodreads. I can't remember. But the other thing we're going to talk about, well, I can tell you what I'm reading now is more manga. I only just started this one. This is the second volume. I only have the first 2 volumes because I only bought them to see if I liked it. It's older. It's from 2009. I don't know yet if I like it. It's got an interesting premise. It's about this girl who is broke. She's been evicted from her apartment. Her dad's taken off because he has so many debts, and so she's out on the street, and this wandering god basically takes pity on her and kisses her on the forehead and says, "You can stay at my place." She doesn't know he's a god. She just thinks he's a guy. He says, "You can stay at my place. This is the address. I'm not staying there anyway. Go make yourself at home," kind of thing. And she gets there, and it's this old decrepit shrine. It's falling apart, and she's like, "Oh, ha ha. That guy who seems so nice is just pranking me." But as it turns out, the kiss on her forehead marked her as the new kami, or I think what is it called? Tochigami or something like that, of this shrine. And so she doesn't really have any special powers, except that she has this shinshi? I can't say these words. I'm sorry. This fox fellow here, as kind of her underling servant. I don't know. And she can command him to do things, which of course is a lot of fun for her, I'm sure. And she's trying to go back to school, but this mark on her forehead makes her makes monsters yokai want to eat her up, kind of thing. So it's not entirely safe for her to be out and about, but I don't know. She's got to build up her powers, and in the meantime, the fox guy has to protect her or something. Anyway, it's an interesting idea. I don't 100% love the art style. I don't hate it. It's not maybe. And so far the story's kind of thin. I mean, it is just getting started. I assume it will get more interesting and more complicated once we've laid the groundwork, kind of thing. So I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it. I think there are a lot of them. There's 24 or 25 volumes maybe. I don't know. But I don't know if I like it enough to keep buying it. If you've read it and you think it's worth my time, let me know. The last thing I was going to talk about was actually an anime that I started watching. Okay. And it's really, really strange. It's called Woodpecker Detective Office. Okay? And if you've seen it, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who thinks this show is crazy. It's got this great little jazzy theme song. I really like the theme song. It is, okay, so I found out it's based on a book. A mystery novel that was written in 1999. The whole thing's set in the Meiji period. It's about a poet named Ishikawa, and then he's got a friend named Kyotsuke, who is some kind of linguist, academic person. They live in the same apartment complex, I guess, as far as that is, in that, it's like, it's old-fashioned. It's this weird blend of, like, Eastern and Western, because at that time in Japan, there's some of them are wearing suits, and some of them are still wearing very, like, traditional Japanese clothing, and it's interesting. And Ishikawa is a poet, but he's broke, so he starts solving mysteries to make money, and sometimes Kyotsuke helps him, like he's kind of the Watson. There are all these other characters, though, that don't really get introduced, but they interact with them anyway, and I feel like if I'd read the book, I'd understand more of, like, this group of people in this anime. As it is, Ishikawa's not particularly likable. Maybe he's supposed to be like a Sherlock Holmes character where but he's not aloof in the way that Sherlock Holmes is aloof or cold. In fact, if anything, he's a little too enthusiastic. And Kyotsuke is like the more staid and level-headed one. Ishikawa keeps having to borrow money from people, and then he goes to like whorehouses and stuff. It's kind of crazy. The art style's really, really interesting. I kind of like it. It's different to what I normally watch. Though the whole thing with women in this anime. All right, so every woman in this anime is like seriously damaged in some way. And I'm just like, what's happening with women in this show? I mean, a lot of times they just end up murdered anyway, because it's like people are dying all the time apparently in Meiji Japan. I don't know. Like lots of blood, lots of people dead in fields, people like shoving swords in their throat. A lot of it. Which, if it's a mystery, I guess. But it makes me kind of curious to read the book, except the book's only in Japanese. And my Japanese is not that good. But, because I'm like, are all these stories in the book, or did they just take the characters, and if you know, let me know. Did they just take the characters and create additional mysteries for them? I'm trying to figure that out. But yeah, like, not female friendly, let's just say. Yeah, that's kind of that. Anyway, it's weird. There've been 6 episodes so far. Sometimes I'm not sure why I'm still watching it, except I'm just kind of waiting to see where this goes, because in the first episode, Kyotsuke is talking about that Ishikawa died like 10 years ago or something like that. So I can only assume that over the course of this series, we will get to the point where Ishikawa dies. I don't know. But, I mean, I guess I'm curious enough, I'm interested enough, I like it enough that I'm still watching it, despite them just not being able to make women any kind of, like, even all the women are drawn alike, even, like, they all look alike. It's like, all the men look very different, very, they dress differently, their hair's all different, whatever, and all the women look very much the same. Now, that might be something about the time period, right? And that the women all kind of did similar hair, face things, but, yeah, I don't know. There's just something kind of off about it in that sense. And yeah, like I said, it might be a product of its time. The book was from 1999. The author passed away in 2014. And I guess somebody got the rights to it. And it was the only, as far as I can tell, it's the only book this guy ever wrote. And somebody like must have grabbed the rights to it and said, oh, we can do something with this. I don't know. Anyway, if you know anything about that book or that series, if you have anything to say about that, let me know. If you have anything to say about Beanie Babies, did you have them? Do you love them? I have a snake one somewhere. The hissy one, the one that's all coiled. I have him somewhere too. I think those might be the only two. No. I had some cat ones, but I gave them all to my son because he loves cats. I had a black and white cat. And I think like a brown and white cat as well. I can't remember. I had some cats. I never kept the tags on anything though. Because tags are not nice to cuddle with. Tags are not comfy. See, just comfy, so cute. I don't call him ears. I call him Sukino, like Sukino Usagi. I actually had two of these. The other one was Hazel, after Hazel Raw in Watership Down. But I don't know where my other one is. Probably in I have whole, like, Rubbermaids full of stuffed friends, because I just don't have space for all of them. But I refuse to get rid of them because I am a hoarder like that, I guess. Anyway, so I will finish volume 2 of Kamisama Kiss and see whether or not I'll try maybe the 3rd or 4th. I mean, I how many manga like volumes do you give it before you're like, I don't know. I'm curious though. Like out of 25, if I read 3, I figure 3 or 4. That seems like a reasonable amount to then know whether or not I want to keep reading, right? And it's just manga right now is really easy to read. It doesn't require a ton of my concentration. I can fly through it pretty quickly. A couple of the other books I had picked up, I just couldn't. I didn't have the energy for them. Do you think some books require more energy to read? Right? That's how I feel. Anyway, so hopefully I'll be able to find something else I can read that, I can actually, like, I have enough energy for. As always, you feel free to leave me suggestions. And until next time,